Christmas time, and Christmas time is one of the biggest times for estrangement, where people aren't getting together. And I want to talk to you about how to communicate with others God style when you have a communication problem with others because of disagreements or whatever has taken place. Today I go to the book of John, chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. It is a Christmas passage. It talks us about how to communicate God style. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and this life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Here's the big idea for the message today. Christmas is the moment God chose not to remain silent towards sinful humanity. And then, though separated by sin, God took intentional steps to communicate his love clearly, personally, and powerfully through Jesus Christ, his Son. Now, according to this verse, there was estrangement between God and sinful man. God had made man to have fellowship with him. Man chose to do his own thing, and that's what sin is all about. When we are not dependent on God and we independently choose to act on our own in life. Now that was the condition between God and sinful man. Now God is holy and man is sinful, and that fractures the relationship between God and man. Christmas is not about decorations or good times and family and all that, primarily. Now notice I said primarily. All of that has to do with having a good Christmas. But Christmas is about God refusing to stay silent and not speak to sinful man. Now this passage tells us how God restored communication. He took the first step. And this is going to teach us how to take the first step in a relationship communication problem that we have in our life. Now, God did it in 3 deliberate steps in this passage. Step number 1, God chose to speak instead of remaining distant. In the verse 1, it says, "In the beginning was the Word." John calls Jesus Christ the Word. In the Greek, it's the word logos. A word is a means of communication. Now, God did not send a philosophy. He did not send a code of ethics. He did not send a distant warning. He sent a word. In this case, he sent the Word. He himself became a human being born of a virgin, and Jesus Christ, God in the flesh, lived among us. Now, this tells us something critical when he sent the Word. Love communicates. Silence does not heal estrangement or the separation that is between two people who disagree and cannot get along. Now, God could have remained distant, and he would have been justified, but instead he spoke. Now, here's how it applies to us, this one point. If we truly love someone, even though we're not getting along with them, we don't write them off. We seek to communicate even when it's uncomfortable. And let me tell you something, when you're not getting along with someone, it is an uncomfortable situation, and we hurt when that happens. So we need to be able to take the first step and give the word and to speak up and to say to someone, let's settle this in a peaceful way. Step number 2, God entered our world instead of shouting from heaven. I think you get my point here. It says in verse 1 and 2, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then in verse 4, it says, in him was life. God did not just speak at us, he spoke to us. Jesus did not send a message from afar. He, God himself, entered human history. He took on flesh. He walked among sinners. He spoke our language, and he lived among us and felt our pain. True communication requires presence. You cannot be separate in the light of a disagreement. You have to have some presence. And God showed his love by meeting humanity where it was, not demanding humanity to climb up to him. That's the difference between Christianity and religion. Christianity is not a religion. Religion is man trying through his own efforts and words and thoughts to climb up to God. Christianity is a story like the old song used to say, he came down to my level when I couldn't get up to him. Now what's the application for us here from this point? It's this: respect grows when we're willing to step into someone else's world, to listen, understand, and engage rather than to lecture all of the time. Now sometimes you might need to lecture, but I'm talking about dominating with lecture. You need to step into a person's shoes. Walk a Mile in My Shoes was the name of a song that was very popular years ago. And biblically speaking, God came and walked in our shoes. God, through Jesus Christ, walked among us. Step number 3, God shined light instead of condemning with darkness. It says in verse 5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. Jesus came as light, not as a spotlight on shame. Now light, in its very quality, does 3 things. It reveals truth. It reveals what's really going on. It then shows the way, and then it offers hope. God could have exposed sin and said, you bunch of sinners, and left us there. But instead, he illuminated a path forward. You know, love doesn't ignore truth, but it delivers truth with hope. In other words, if there's a disagreement, you come and you say, you know, I see a way out for us. Let's talk. Even though we may not disagree, we still want to be united as friends. And so when we communicate truth without grace, we drive people away. When we communicate grace without truth, we mislead. But God gave both. So when we look at what God did in taking the first step to bring sinful man back to himself, we can see how we ourselves can show respect to those we disagree with. So how do we respect and show respect to someone who we disagree with? Number 1, we speak, but we do not withdraw. Silence and dismissal hardens hearts, so we need to speak up. Number 2, we seek presence, not distance. We listen before we respond. And number 3, we offer light, not heat. Truth delivered without love blinds instead of illuminates. So Jesus, in his communication, God style, didn't win people by overpowering them with words. He won them by loving them. And so Christmas reminds us that we need to communicate God style. Respectful communication is not weakness. It is Christ likeness. Now notice this phrase, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Now that is how God showed his love, and that is how we are called to show our love as we seek to communicate God style. So if you have a fractured relationship with anyone or many people, you need to pray that God would open up a way where you could present yourself in a God-style way, so that you can seek to speak to the person and seek to speak to them with God's love. Now again, if they reject you, that's not on you, that's on them. But hold yourself to, let the Holy Spirit of God hold you together in your words, your thoughts, and your deeds toward that person. And then you will earn a right to speak to them. And with God's love and God's power and the Holy Spirit in action, hopefully God will bring you into a oneness with a person that you have disagreed with. Now, you still may not think the same way, but at least that person knows that you care for them. So that is how to communicate God style. And I hope you practice that. Now let me say this. You will not accomplish this unless God, through Jesus Christ, is in your life and he is empowering you to live like this. You can't do it on your own. You need the person of Christmas, Jesus Christ. And you ask him to come into your life by saying, Lord, I know that you were God who became flesh. You lived among us. You showed us how to live life. And then you went to the cross and gave yourself for me. You shed your blood for my sins. And then you were buried. And then on the third day, I believe that you arose and that today you live. And I ask, and I'm going to tell you right now, I want to stop living independently. I want you in my life. I believe you. I believe in who you are. I believe in what you did. Please come into my life and forgive me of my independence, of my sin, and become a part of my life. Make me your child today. Jesus Christ will do that. He will forgive you. And then you can start walking with him by faith and living for him as he is in you and is empowering you to do what you should do. May God bless you as you seek to restore broken relationships and to build a bridge so that you can communicate with other people. We'll see you next week.